You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Now it's time for the Viral Load with Tiffany. Live on KFI is Later with Mo Kelly. She'll talk about the topics on social media. The Viral Load with Tiffany Hobbs.
KFI AM 640 is Later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Now it's the Viral Load with Tiffany Hobbs.
God, I love Eric Lasardo and hearing that song. Shout out to him. I love it every single time. Let's get into it. So the first story comes from Reddit and YouTube. There's been some crossover appeal with this story. There's a visual simulation that's going viral because it depicts the size that $1 million, $1 billion, and $1 trillion can actually take up physically. What do I mean? Well, this channel on YouTube called Red Side, which deals with graphics and representations, decided to bring attention to the size of stacks of money. You might be thinking, well, why would they do that? There's been interest apparently on their channel about just how much space this sort of quantity or these quantities may in fact take up. So what they're doing is they created these digital graphics on their YouTube channel, and in that channel, they'll take $1 million and they'll stack up these blocks. Again, it's digitally, but you're seeing how these blocks then increase in size, and they use humans for scale, trucks for scale, and you get to see again how much square surface basically that quantity can take up. $1 million took up quite a bit, was the size of maybe a large shed or a garage, whereas $1 billion became a multi-story building with a person next to it, looks really small, and a truck, a big truck that looks small as well. And then $1 trillion just completely obscures all of that. We have a multi-story building and a lot of square space. But the issue here and what's going viral is not just the fact that this money has increased and you get to see how many stacks turn into a story or, the size of a building. But what people are noticing is that when it was $1 million, the area around or the background in this digital representation was leafy, was green. There was a blue sky. It looked really pretty. At $1 billion, there's less blue sky, fewer trees, more concrete. And when you get to $1 trillion, the entire digital background looks like this apocalyptic wasteland of just concrete and gray. And people online are causing this conversation to go viral because they're saying that it really does, in fact, illustrate the importance or the value placed on money over nature.
I've seen this viral visual simulation. It's been out there for a while. I'm kind of surprised that it's just now really catching on. But we know the math, the basic math. Okay, a billion is 1,000 million, and a trillion is 1,000 billion. But to see it in physical terms,
it's jarring.
Yeah, it's jarring.
It's jarring, especially again with the people as representation or the personification. Therefore, showing that these stacks just are huge. They're you can't really conceptualize. And that's what people are also surprised by, that what they thought they knew or what they thought might be the size of the block or this building of money is not in fact true. It's a lot larger than they had even expected. So it's going viral because of it. It's a story that's come back around, like you said, Mo, but it has new legs now because people are catching on Reddit and on YouTube. The next story is something that has also been around for quite a while, for as long as I can remember, and quite honestly, well before that. And I'm going to ask the clip to be played now because I want you guys to hear it.
A woman is going viral after sharing the sweet gesture her 98-year-old neighbor made after she moved into her new home, walking a cake over to her house to welcome her to the area. In a video posted to TikTok, Kelly McDuff can be seen on the verge of tears as she displays a chocolate bundt cake with white frosting before panning the camera up to her window, where the neighbor who dropped off the cake can be seen walking back to his home.
So, as that just told you, there's a young woman. She's newly married, and she and her husband have moved into this neighborhood. They're in this nice house. They're starting their life, and they're in their mid to upper 20s. But why this has gone viral is because Kelly McDuff, the woman who uploaded this video to TikTok, is visually stirred. She is shocked, and she is so moved by this very sweet gesture from her 90-plus-year-old neighbor who did, in fact, bring a chocolate cake to her doorstep to welcome her to the neighborhood. And this is why I say this is not new. This is something that's been around. Welcoming gifts or welcome gifts have been around for ages, whether it's cookies or cakes or pies or flowers.
I've done it myself.
Yeah, I've done it as well. And the thing that has made this story go viral is not just the gesture from the neighbor, but that people are reacting to Kelly's shock. Her again, being moved. And it is a moving gesture, but feeling like, wow. And this is what she shows in the TikTok. She's practically in tears that this is something so unusual.
But it is.
It is now.
Yeah, kindness is unusual.
And being neighborly and knowing your neighbors,
knowing them,
is unusual. This reminds me of where I live. When I speak to my neighbors, I know when I first moved in, I went around and introduced myself because I wanted them to know they had someone who was watching their back. They were so shocked that I was personable, that people really actually wanted to meet them because they had been kind of secluded. It's a lost art, this idea of being neighborly. So Kelly took it upon herself to upload it to TikTok, and it has gone viral millions of times over. Of course, the gesture, again, is a beautiful one, but I am most surprised that people are just with Kelly and they're shocked that this could possibly happen because this should be the norm.
And when we come back, Tua girl is going viral
Again. She just won't get out of the news. It's been a month. We'll talk about it.
Punk and spit on that thing. You get me?
It's later with Mo Kelly.
I knew you'd love it.
More of the viral love when we come back. KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Second portion of the viral load with Tiffany Hobbs starts right now.
The Hawk Tua girl. Never thought I would say that on radio ever.
Punk and spit on that thing. You get me?
God, she just won't go away. And at this rate, she's not going anywhere. And it's not necessarily because of her, but it's because social media just can't let go of the newest viral sensation. Where others have expired, hers has continued to soar. So last month, exactly a month ago, Haley Welch again coined the phrase Hawk Tua. Thought you were going to play it. You're not going to play it?
I am. I just didn't want to step on you.
Punk and spit on that thing. You get me?
During what is now a very widely seen viral video. It's posted on TikTok, YouTube, you name it. It's been everywhere. She's everywhere. And the update that I have is just how far her virality has now taken her. 1 month later, since the beginning of this entire phenomenon, Haley Welch has been doing club appearances for $30,000.
Stop.
I am jealous.
She's getting $30,000 just to show up and maybe take selfies with people
in Florida money. So that's really like $60,000 in Florida. $30,000 just to show up and take pictures with people, just to show up and say Hawk Tua into different mics.
Punk and spit on that thing. You get me?
What bothers me, unfortunately, is the guy who conducted the interview. He's an afterthought and doesn't really get to benefit from this
at all. Those two guys, there are two of them, both in their early mid-20s. No one knows them. You have to look up the story to find out their names. I didn't know them until I found the update on this story. But yeah, they're not the ones you're remembering. Haley Welch is the one who has soared from TV appearances, club appearances. She has a line of clothing that she has used the trademark phrase.
I hope that she did trademark it.
She trademarked it, and she has combined with another wholesaler to release T-shirts and hats that say Hawk Tua 24 because it's a political climate. It's a political year. Hawk Tua 24. And she is just, again, soaring $30,000 to make these club appearances. So I wanted to bring the viral load in KFI, that update about how viral stories can actually really, truly change your life.
Punk
and spit on that thing. You get me? I'm rolling my eyes down the street.
Life ain't fair, let me tell you.
Life ain't fair. If you decide, life isn't fair and you kind of want to check out early, there's another way you can do that. If you're a fan of roller coasters, then this story will appeal to you. There's a TikToker named Luke Davidson, and he's gone viral after posting about something called a euthanasia roller coaster. What is a euthanasia roller coaster? Well, Luke Davidson, the TikToker, didn't invent this, but he has gone viral for sharing the details of this roller coaster. A man named Julie Jonas designed this roller coaster called the euthanasia coaster. It's capable of holding up to 24 passengers, so it's fairly small. And once these passengers are all on board, the roller coaster makes a slow ascent to the top. Have you ever been on a roller coaster? Tick, 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 and you keep going up. That's where your anxiety builds. But once you're up there, you then drop at such a high G-force, and you go through these series of spirals and spins and turns, that all of this pressure, all of this force will eventually kill you.
They're talking about more than 10 G's.
More than 10 G's. So that when you think of fighter pilots, have you ever seen Top Gun? They get into the G-force stuff, all of that science. And G's are extremely deadly at higher numbers. 10 will take you out.
Well, let me just be real scientific for a second. A G-force is a level of atmosphere. So if you say 10 G-forces, you're talking about 10 Earth atmospheres pressing down on you at the same time.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. And with that pressing, you will then die. And so Julie Jonas, or Bonas is his last name, designed this roller coaster to allow people to participate in what then would be their own demise willingly. It is elective, ending your life, and you're taking this roller coaster ride.
That doesn't sound like fun.
Knowing that you're going to do it.
G-forces are not pleasurable.
It's not for you or I.
Imagine just something crushing you to death. That's what a G-force is.
And people are going to pay for this.
Sleeping pills would be a better choice.
I think these are thrill seekers, and the thrill is gone.
Well, but to be a thrill seeker, it presupposes that you flirt with death, but you don't actually die. Like, I don't get on a plane to actually crash into the side of the mountain and call it thrill seeking.
Not you or I, but these people are taking it to another level. And of course, this has gone viral all around social media, and people are weighing in just like you and I have about whether or not that's a good idea or whatever the case. You and I say no, but others will do it. And we'll hear about this as this continues to flesh out. Last story really quickly. Sean Diddy Combs. We've heard a lot about him in the last few months, from the abuse that's not just alleged, but actually videotaped and that we saw, to all of these other things that involve his houses being raided and allegations across the board. Well, he's been laying low, but he's not been able to stay low for long because the internet has taken his name and inserted it into a phrase that has now gone viral. It's the newest catchphrase, and it's called, quote, "Nice try, Diddy." Nice try, Diddy. You may have seen it if you've been on Facebook or Instagram. Yep. You've seen it. I saw it, and it made me actually look it up. I said, what the heck is going on? I saw this Instagram post, and it was something from a shopping site, a furniture site. And in the comments of this post were not people responding to what they were seeing as far as the furniture. No, instead, all I saw were "Nice try, Diddy. Nice try, Diddy. Nice try, Diddy," all the way down. Tens and tens and tens of comments. And then I went to another post and I saw it, and then yet another post. So I said, something's going on here. I researched and I found out that this started on Reddit, another popular commenting site, where people have decided that because they feel that Sean Diddy Combs has had his hand in many things, including these negative allegations, that they are now going to flood the internet with this phrase and take over every comment thread.
It's called flood the zone. That's what the young people say. Flood the zone.
I didn't know that. They're flooding the zone. Thank you. Today years old. I didn't know that.
Flood the zone.
They're flooding the zone with Nice Try Diddy. So I wanted to educate you that if you see Nice Try Diddy in any comment thread or someone says it and you're confused like I was, and you're saying, what the heck does this have to do with this burger recipe that I'm looking at or this whatever it is that I'm looking at online? This is where it started. It started on Reddit, and people are doing it just to be funny.
Are they trying to manipulate algorithms?
No, it's not even that, because there's nothing other than a continuation of seeing more posts that have Nice Try Diddy, but there's nothing that they're pulling up. There's no news that's new on Sean Diddy Combs or nothing really connected to the phrase. It's really just a prank that has just taken off, and now it's everywhere.
Is it like the new Rickroll?
It's just like the new Rickroll.
Okay.
Just like that. And they have these things periodically, and this is the newest one, and that's the viral load.
Okay, let me make sure that I'm not too old here. Elmer, I know you're busy, but I have to ask you, do you know who Rick Astley is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure. You know, so you know what we mean when we say Rickrolled.
Oh, yeah, I've Rickrolled a lot of people.
Okay, all right. And for those you don't know, there was a time where people were putting fake videos on like YouTube, and you would start the video and you think it's going to be, I don't know, cats scratching a post, and then all of a sudden it turns into a Rick Astley video.
Yes.
And they call that getting Rickrolled.
Mm-hmm. This is the new Rickrolled. Nice try, Diddy.
It's a viral load with Tiffany Hobbs. Always like when you come around. You didn't stay with us on Friday last week. Why is that?
Nice try, Diddy.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Baba Vanga, or Vanga, also known as Vangelia Pandeva Gustatarova, or something like that, was a blind Bulgarian clairvoyant, supposedly, but was widely known for her alleged powers of precognition. So-called Nostradamus of the Balkans is said to have predicted 9/11 and the war in Ukraine. This mystic healer, according to published records, died in 1996. But the psychic's followers, according to the New York Post, still await some of the predictions she made before her death. Some reports have claimed that Vanga warned that the world would end in 2023 due to nuclear bioweapons and a solar storm. Well, it's 2024 and neither happened. We're still here. But the latest of Vanga's late predictions have resurfaced. And the claim that the end of the world is going to begin in 2025. But there's a hitch to all this. The end of the world begins, the events which set it in motion begin next year. And God willing, all of us will be here still next year. But the actual end of the world, or humanity being wiped out, won't happen until 5079. So it really doesn't matter, or at least not for anyone listening right now. It's 2024. We're talking about 3,055 years. I don't think anyone's going to be around here to see it. And honestly, I wouldn't want to be around for the end of the world. But it's a step-by-step progression. According to this timeline for the end of humanity, next year, a conflict in Europe will devastate the continent's population. In 2028, humans will begin to explore Venus as an energy source. I guess we're just going to skip over Mars and go straight to Venus. In 2033, the polar ice caps will melt, raising sea levels to drastic heights worldwide. Now, that's quite possible in 2033.
Is this like Criswell just making predictions out of his...
Just throwing things, just pulling stuff out their ass.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
Pretty much, yeah. In 2076, communism will make a comeback and spread all around the world like a virus. In 2076. And none of us listening will be here for that moment. But I wish I could be here in 2130, because according to this, we will officially make alien contact in 2130.
You got to get your head frozen like Ted Williams.
Yeah, I don't think that worked too well. They froze his head, and then I think they lost his head. They threw it in a corner. There's this big legal battle, and I don't know if it's still frozen.
You really have to be more organized with frozen heads,
You
honestly.
You do. In 2170, this is 40 years after we make alien contact, and this is after the polar ice caps, which have melted 140 years prior to, okay? In 2170, despite the polar ice caps melting, a drought will devastate much of the world. How you reconcile those two things, I'm not exactly sure. I just don't know. In the year 3005, Earth will go to war with a colony of Earths on Mars. Kind of like the Expanse TV show, if you've seen it. That's the year 3005. In 3797, I do appreciate the accuracy and the specificity. 3797. In that year of our Lord, Anno Domini, humans will have to vacate the earth because it's become uninhabitable. The upside is global warming, climate change will not get us until 3797, according to this. And then in 5079, for events not really clearly articulated, the world will end. I hate to be selfish, but after I leave up out of this place, whatever.
What, just pull up the ladder? That's it?
Look, I've said it before. I'm not all that concerned about climate change because whatever does happen, I'm not going to be around to see the effects of it. I'm really not.
How enlightened of you.
I am. Yeah, I am. Have you ever heard me talk about climate change seriously on the show?
I don't recall.
No, it's not one of my things. There are things that I do worry about within the space of my existence on this earth. I think this next election is very important. I'll talk about that. I will talk about the issues domestically and internationally, what's going on around the world, be it in Israel and Gaza, Ukraine and Russia. I think that has great impact on what's going to happen in our country the next 10, 15, 20 years. Untold how that might impact us. But at that point, I'm going to be like 74. It's going to be for everyone else to deal with at that point. There's nothing else I can do. I will have given all that I can give in the next 20 years. And there are not enough aluminum cans that I can put in the blue bin. There's not enough short showers that I can take. There are not enough electric cars that I can buy, which is going to change the trajectory of the trash bin that this world is going to end up in.
That is some first-rate fancy thinking.
I know it's regressive. I get it. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way.
Would you like to hear some Criswell as a companion piece to what you've been reading?
Show them all the beauty that they have inside. Give them a sense of pride and make it easier. Let the children's laughter and guide them how it used to be.
Well, we heard a traffic sounder. There will be no Criswell.
The whole show is blowing up.
Yeah, first we
have Mr. Roboto for traffic.
I want to say I like the auto-tuned traffic reports. I don't know if that's going to be an ongoing thing, but it was fun the one time.
Well, we'll see if we can get it right the second time. But the world is going to end, And yes, I to be absolutely serious, I don't believe this human civilization can avoid self-immolation. I don't know if we can avoid self-destruction.
No, God, please, no.
I don't think that we are smart enough. I don't think we want to. We are too tribal. We're too ignorant. We will do something that's against our best self-interest, and we'll just be up out of here. I don't know if it'll be a nuclear war. I don't know if it'll be a pandemic. I don't know if it'll be AI. It could be all of that or some of that or none of that. I just know I don't want it to happen in the next 50 years. After that, do whatever.
At the rate we're going, nuclear war will be redundant. Now, here's Criswell. You're going to dig this.
Okay.
We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives, whether we want to or not. And remember, my friend, these future events will affect you. The future is in your hand.
Can you argue with reasoning like that?
No, I can't. We are in the future.
It's where we're going to spend the rest of our lives.
Yeah, and you know what? We're in the future now. And wait. We're in the future again.
It's going to be the future in 5 minutes, too.
Well, how about a future newscast?
If you insist.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And before we go, I want to finish up that conversation I was having last segment. And Mark usually gives me a hard time because we may not value the same things to the same degree. I wouldn't say I'm a fatalist, but I'm not under any illusion as far as I'm very cynical. I don't have high hopes for this civilization. I don't think we'll be able to get out of our own way. I think our demise is going to come at our own hand. It won't be a meteor. It won't be aliens. It'll be us. It'll be something that we did to bring about the end.
Well, we're seeing it right now. And we talked about COVID getting politicized. You think climate science hasn't been politicized?
Oh, it's a part of all of our politics. It's about how we view politics. If you are for addressing climate change, you're a pinko commie. And if you're against climate change, then you're MAGA all the way to the right. And unfortunately, that's where we are.
Pretty discouraging.
And that's why I say, hey, have at it. It's not something I'm even going to argue, because ultimately, when the world does come crashing to an end, good for y'all. Not going to be here. Not going to be here. And part of the reason I got to this point, this was the actual point I wanted to make, Mark. When I was a kid growing up, I used to worry about the future, what it was going to look like when I became an adult. When I was 7, I remember I was worried about the killer bees coming from South America, and they were supposed to get here. I did the math when I turned 21, and they didn't, but those are the things I'd worry about. I remember being in elementary school and doing the nuclear war drills.
Duck and cover.
Where we would get under our desks like it was an earthquake prep drill. And if you're not old enough to remember, we had nuclear war drills as if getting under our desk was going to protect us from a nuclear warhead landing in the middle of downtown LA.
That's right. The cutting edge technology of wood and metal school desks was going to prevent you from being vaporized in a nuclear holocaust.
And they showed us this video, and I remember it. It's clear as yesterday.
The turtle.
Well, not only that, there was a part in the video where they said if you see the light from the flash of the bomb, not only did they not tell you it was going to blind you, but they said if you saw the light, they told you to get down in the street next to a curb and get as low as you can, so all of the debris and the explosions would just go over you.
Yeah, the curb will save you.
Yeah, not that the concussive force of the blast would just throw you like a piece of paper a mile, but the curb, all 18 inches high of it, would protect you.
Right. And then when we were kids, the day after TV movie came out, and we were all like,
yes.
Oh no, the desks aren't going to do anything, are they?
No. And that put a chill. I think that made it as real as it could. It made it real for a lot of people when you're talking about the degree of destruction and death, which would be associated with a nuclear war.
Steve Gutenberg's hair's falling out. I have no hope.
Terminator 2. Oh, I just messed up your rim shot. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
You didn't earn it.
Sorry about that. Terminator 2, the scene where Sarah Connor is standing there at the fence.
Yeah.
That scarred me for life.
Yeah, I get it. For me, just worrying about what the world was going to turn into, or the catastrophes of the future, was something that I really, really obsessed about as a kid. And then I got to a certain age, it's like, I can't worry about it. I can't emotionally burden myself with all the problems of the world, what might happen, whether civilization is going to make it. Nobody's getting out of this alive. And whatever's going to happen 50 years from now is going to be up to my nephew, my blended sons. They're going to have to deal with that, and they'll have to wrap their minds around it as best they can.
Yeah,
I can't.
There's something to be said for what we are leaving them. But meanwhile, you've become Bill Murray in Meatballs. It just doesn't matter.
It just doesn't matter. And also, if you've seen the movie Titanic, I am that couple curled up, the old couple curled up on the bed with the water rising around. It's like, F it. Look, I'm too old to swim. The water's too cold. Where are we going to go?
Well, at least you're not the chick hogging the piece of wood for yourself. So Leo has to sink because you won't make room for him on the thing that's floating.
And he's going to die from hypothermia, at least, if the sharks don't get him.
Yeah, that's just rude. Make room on the piece of wood for Leo.
Didn't even offer.
Rude. Selfish.
But, so that's how we got here. Talking about the end of the world in the last segment. So I don't think about it anymore. Be it climate change, be it nuclear war, be it famine, pestilence, be it some sort of pandemic which is going to envelop the world. Can't worry about it because I know I have more behind me than I do in front of me. I know that sounds selfish. Yes, it is selfish, but self-care is more important to me for the years I have left than worrying about what I can't control with the years I have left.
The scant few years you have left.
Look, tomorrow is not promised, and I say that seriously. I seriously, and that's why I live not with complete reckless abandon, but I try to live a life not in fear. That goes back to I don't like to fly, but I'm going to fly because I want to see the rest of the world.
As Frank Sinatra said, you're going to live until you die.
He said that?
Yeah, you're going to live until you die. You're going to laugh instead of cry.
He also said, fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay.
You need oxygen. Don't do that.
Well, he didn't say untethered with no oxygen tank. He just said, fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars.
We can't imply things.
Let me see what life is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, please be true. Mark, did you catch that? Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore.
With diarrhea.
You are all I long for. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere. The iHeartRadio app.
Indifference Therapy. KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live every